Red Corner Boxing. We're in the game.
Yes, guys, and welcome to Red Corner Boxing's inaugural 2025 awards show. It's just a little fun show. It's not going to be a long one. I'm just going to pick out some of my favourite moments from 2025's world of boxing. Just before we get into it, we're going to say we're proudly sponsored by Easy Storage. And, of course, our official apparel supplier are the Boxing Fight Zone. Check them out at boxingfightzone.com. So we're going to start off the show with my card of the year. And that goes to this card here. It's the ring. It's, of course, the night of the champions. We had Brian Norman Jr. versus Devin Haney. We had Sam Noakes, Abdullah Mason, absolute cracking fight. We had Jesse Bam Rodriguez against Daniel Puma Martinez. And, of course, Benavidez and Guard. Now, that was a legendary card. I remember being so excited for it. It was an absolute world card. Oh, good evening, Hawkan, mate. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you are well, sir. But, yeah, like I was saying, it was an absolute card. Had everything. It was built up in our heads and it delivered, in my opinion. Drop your own, of course. What was your favourite card of the 2025 boxing season? But for me, that was card of the year. Like I say, guys, play along. If you've got your own picks, by all means, drop them in the chat. But that, for me, was the card of the year. Now I'm going to move on to the biggest failure of the year. The worst card, should we say. In my opinion, it was this one from Times Square, Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves. It just didn't deliver on any aspect. Teofimo was decent, but the other two fights, Rolly overturned Garcia, but it was a boring fight, in my opinion. The Haney-Ramirez fight, oh my God. One of the worst fights I've seen in a while. I think Haney threw something like 70 punches in the whole fight. It was absolutely ridiculous. So that's gone down as mine worst fight card of the year for 2025. So again, guys, if you're in the chat and you want to drop your own, if you disagree, let us know. But that, for me, was not a good card at all. Now, let's move to the best fight of 2025. This one, for me, was Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes. Absolute tear-up. Both men gave their all. One of the great fights, not just of this year, but that I can remember. Fun from the start. Obviously, the British guy didn't get the result, but Abdullah Mason earned the win. He was absolutely formidable on the night. What more can you say? Absolutely, in my opinion, deserved a fight of 2025. So we'll move on to the worst fight of 2025. I think we know where we're going with this one. It was Haney against Ramirez. Although Haney done what he had to do, coming back to that Ryan Garcia shit show, with the peds and whatnot, he had to get his career back on track. And he did that because he'd look at what he's gone on to achieve. But that fight was a snooze fest. I remember watching it and just absolutely pulling my hair out of how boring it was. Nobody wanted to engage. It was just running and just tapping. Like I said, 70 punches or something landed in the entire fight. Just an absolute letdown. Absolute letdown. So we'll move on to the next one, which is the female fight of the year, which for me was this one. Beatrice Ferreira versus Eilif Nur-Turhan. The reason I put this as the best female fight of the year is just because of the shock factor. Like, we all knew Eilif Nur-Turhan was good, and we'll get more onto her later. But Beatrice Ferreira to get done like that, it was the last thing I expected. To be honest with you, in the prediction league, I had UD Ferreira. I did not see her going out like that, but Eilif Nur-Turhan turned up and was absolutely unstoppable that night. She was absolutely fantastic. So hats off to that, and that's my female fight of the year 2025. So we're going to move on to the biggest letdown of the female cards, of the female fights, should I say. And that goes to, through no fault of her own, Clarissa Shields against Lani Daniels. No fault of Clarissa Shields, as I said. She was amazing as always, done exactly what she had to do, but it was such a mismatch. I stayed up till 5 gone in the morning to do the watch along. I think Lani Ramirez threw something like 41 punches the entire fight. It was just tragic to watch. It was such a mismatch. It was so one-sided. It just made it an awful encounter for me to watch. And that's why it's my worst fight of the year in the female category. So we're going to move on, which I think everyone's going to agree with this one. The biggest robbery of the year. I think we all know where we're going with this. Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach. 1st of March at the Barclays Centre. You can see it in the picture. The knee, the knockdown that never was. Scorecards were wild. How Tank got out of that with a draw is absolutely beyond me. Because it was one-sided. Lamont Roach pieced him up. Should have got the win. Absolutely should have got the win. But that's that one done. So now we're going to move on to the male KO of the year. For me, the male KO of the year was Brian Norman Jr. with an absolutely world-class left hook that he knocked out Jin Sasaki with. Absolutely special punch from a special character. I know he's gone on to lose since to Devin Haney, of course, but that doesn't change the knockout of the year. And that, for me, was Brian Norman Jr. So we're going to move on to the KO of the year in the female side of the game. I gave this to, might surprise a few people, Lauren Price against Bexy Matus. That stiff right hand, an absolute thing of beauty. I know it was a very outclassed opponent, but the knockout stands for itself. And that, for me, is the female knockout of the year, Lauren Price. Absolutely fantastic shot. If you've not seen it, go and check it out on YouTube. Honestly, absolute clinic of a shot. So now we're going to move on to the comeback story of 2025. And my pick for this one is no other than Troy the Trojan Williamson. After 4 consecutive defeats, Troy moved up to 168. He then stopped Mark Dickinson in round 9 to win the English super middleweight title. And then, of course, he went up against the unbeaten Callum Simpson, who he knocked out in the 10th round. Well, TKO, should I say. Should have been stopped earlier. Absolutely beat Callum Simpson to a pulp to win the British, Commonwealth and European super middleweight titles. So for me, the comeback story of the year in the male category is Troy the Trojan Williamson, and nobody deserves it more. Absolutely. So now let's move on to the comeback story for the female side of boxing. This one might surprise a few people, but I've gone for Natasha Spence. She's got a bit of a story. The 40-year-old Canadian who's based in Britain. After 6 years out from 2017 to 2023, she returned with 5 losses in a row. Before this year, she then went on to beat Mariela Cornejo. She then went on to fight Mary McGee and won that by majority decision to win the WBA International Super Welterweight title. Now that is what you call a comeback story, and she is my pick for this year. Absolutely. Hawkins just said Devin Haney dominated Brian Norman Jr. was my favourite moment of the year. Thanks, Hawkins, mate. It was a great performance from Haney. He was fantastic. I got that one very wrong. Very wrong. Anyway, let's move to our next category. So I'm going for the best commentator of the year. I don't really have the commentary on a lot, so very slim pickings for me, but I've gone for no other than Sonny Edwards. I just feel when he's on the mic, he talks a lot of truth. He gets a lot of excitement into what I've seen of him. So very good commentator, and very happy to announce Sonny Edwards as my 2025 commentator of the year. So let's move on to trainer of the year. There's only one man for me at the moment that I could pick, and that's Bomac. For what he done for Terence Crawford, going up the 2 weight divisions to dethrone the undisputed super middleweight champion Sal Canelo Alvarez. Bomac, just an absolute tactician, gets it right. Might not look the part, but he knows exactly what he's doing, and fair play to him. And Terence Crawford's trainer is the pick of the year for me as trainer of the year. So let's move on to heavyweight of the year. No other than Mr. Fabio Wardley gets the nod for me. Tremendous year. Obviously, he beat Justice Hooney by KO round 10 for the WBA interim title. He then beat Joe Parker by TKO round 11 for the WBO interim. And then, of course, he got elevated to full champion once Usyk relinquished the title. So for me, heavyweight of the year goes to Britain's very own Ipswich man, Fabio Wardley. And to be honest, I couldn't be happier for him. He deserves it. People say it's an email belt. That may be so, but he done the business on Joe Parker, who was next in line to Usyk. So he earns it by way of that, in my opinion. Right then, let's move on to the big ones. We've got male fighter of the year. And for me, this is no other than undisputed super bantamweight champion, Naoya Inoue. A lot of people talk about his opponents, but you can only beat what's in front of you. And Inoue has defended his undisputed Ring Magazine Championship 4 times in 2025. You cannot knock that. Of course, he beat Ji Yoon Kim, knocked him out in the 4th. He beat the very tough and game Ramon Cardenas, TKO round 8. He beat Murajan Akhmadaliev by unanimous decision. And of course, just recently, on the Night of the Samurai, he absolutely dominated the previously unbeaten David Picasso by unanimous decision. So the male of the year for me is Inoue. A lot of people will have other choices, of course, but that's my pick, and I stand by it. And now, to finish off this short award ceremony of 2025, we are going for our female of the year. And of course, Hawkan in the chat knows who it's going to be. No other than Miss Eilif Nur-Turhan. Absolutely formidable year. She looks unstoppable. Absolute beast in that lightweight division. And this year, so far, she knocked out Shauna Brown in round 1. Absolute dominant performance. Shocked a lot of people, believe it or not. Looking back now, nobody's shocked. But at the time, a bit of shock on that. And then, of course, she went on to stop Ria Amadi in France in round 6. And then, of course, the big one, the IBF lightweight world title against Beatrice Ferreira, who she stopped in the 5th round. Now, you can't knock that for a year for Elif Nurturhan, the Turkish beast. She's coming for all the straps, and she is my female fighter of the year. So definitely the right choice, in my opinion. I'm assuming a lot of other people have also picked Elif Nurturhan as their female fighter of the year. I don't think there's anyone else that could even come close, to be honest. So that's my pick. And that's the end of this show already. Nice, short and sweet, just the way you like it. Thank you to all who tuned in, dropped a comment. Really appreciate it. Before we go, I'm just going to say we're proudly sponsored by Easy Storage, place to go for all your storage needs. And of course, the Boxing Fight Zone, our official apparel supplier. So it's been nice and quick. I hope you guys enjoyed the quick, brief award show. And we will see you again soon. The Prediction League is up at 6:30. God bless. See y'all soon.
I'm moving.